spring officially arriving. So let's go ahead and take a look. That cold front has brought in winter behind it. That's good because we do have some cool and dry air as that cold front continues to make its way closer and closer towards Miami. Miami, you're actually it was 2 degrees cooler than this time yesterday, but check this out. 20 degrees cooler than this time yesterday in Atlanta and 17 degrees cooler in New Orleans. So this was a 24-hour temperature difference from now and yesterday. But here's a look at what's happening outside right now. So 65 in New Orleans, 64 in Jackson, 54 in Nashville. But as we get through this evening and into tonight, you'll start seeing those yellow colors start to erode, replaced by those blues and purples. And those blues and purples, those are temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Those purples are right around freezing. Nashville tonight, 32 degrees. Raleigh at 36. When you wake up on Saturday morning, this is what it'll feel like. 29 degrees in Nashville, 30 in Charlotte, 37 in Charleston, and 39 in Tallahassee. Sunday morning, it mainly focuses a little bit further along the immediate coastline. 31 for Raleigh, 30 for Knoxville, 38 for Atlanta and Charleston. Now, what we do have is also early leafing. So all that warm weather brought in this chance for all the blossoms to really pop up a little bit earlier than expected. And temperatures are also still freezing. That's the only problem. We're still in winter. Temperatures will be dropping Friday night and into Saturday morning down to freezing. That's not good for fruit orchards or even some nurseries. So that'll be problematic. Nick, talking about a roller coaster of temperatures, especially across the Midwest. Let's take a look at that. Tomorrow we have some cold air funneling in, but then come the weekend, we go back to be flip-flop back into the warm nose of this air mass that's setting up. That jet stream really lifts far north, but it's short-lived. I mean, we're going to go back to winter. Winter is not officially over. If you haven't noticed, early next week, that colder air returns as a new jet stream dips down far south. So tomorrow, a look at the temperatures. We're seeing forecasted highs at 34 in Chicago. Then we start seeing this resurgence of yellows and oranges, and all these warmer temperatures start to invade across the Midwest. By Sunday, we're talking 58 for Chicago, 66 in St. Louis, and by Monday, 59 in Detroit, and 72 in Kansas City, 71 in Omaha. But then it's a short lifespan right there, because then by Tuesday, we're seeing that return to greens and blues, 44 in Minneapolis. So here's a quick look. Minneapolis, your 7-day forecast, your average high is right around 35 degrees. We start off cooler than that, and then we warm up and soar into the 60s by Sunday and Monday. So still to come on Weather Center Live. In all those storms yesterday, now it's scooting off further to the south, and behind that is cooler and drier weather. So you can thank that cold front for making it feel more like winter, which is what it should be really feeling like. Actually, I wanted to show you this. Hold on, here you go. This is a 24-hour temperature change from this time yesterday. We're 20 degrees cooler in Atlanta, 21 to be exact, 19 degrees cooler than this time yesterday in Jacksonville, and a little bit further west, about 17 degrees cooler in New Orleans. And if we take a look at the temperatures outside right now, 54 in Nashville, 57 in Atlanta, 58 in Raleigh, and 67 in Jacksonville. But watch, as we get through the next several hours, you're going to start seeing all those yellows and oranges start to recede as those blues and purples take place. And all those blues and purples right there are temperatures in the 30s and just right around freezing. So now we're talking tonight, dipping down into the 32 degrees for Nashville, 37 for Atlanta, 36 for Raleigh, and it continues. Tomorrow, now we're talking about your high temperatures. It'll stay very warm, 66 for Meridian, 68 for Shreveport, and into Saturday, now we're starting to rebound a little bit with all these yellows, but we really don't see those orange colors really take place until late next week or early next week. Sunday still in the 60s, 62 for Memphis, Monday 69 for Atlanta, 73 for Savannah. Now we're starting to see those oranges pop up, and they start returning, really kick in by Tuesday. 72 now in Meridian, 77 in Savannah and for Tallahassee. Now for Atlanta, here's a look at your average high right around 59 degrees is what you're expecting, but then we soar into the near 70 degrees by Monday and Tuesday. MODIS source right here, this is a satellite, all of the early green colors, you can see it stretching from Mobile to Atlanta, Jacksonville. Green colors, that means we were seeing a lot more blooming and a little bit earlier too. With all that extra blooming comes the tree pollen. So if you notice your eyes were a little itchy, your nose was runny and itchy too, this is the reason. We have very high tree pollen in this red area. So all of this extra greenery is a couple of weeks ahead of schedule, right? In this time frame right here. You can see that chart on the far left. You can pick out that dark green color at the very northern end of the shading right there. And that's a couple weeks from today. But all this early leafing, it's nice, right? But when you take into account the temperatures, starting by Friday night, where these are the temperatures right around freezing, so around 32 degrees, starting by Friday afternoon, into Friday night, into Saturday, we're starting to see it really invade and take over this area right here over Raleigh. That's problematic because that means our orchards might be damaged, trees and flowers, those are going to be damaged as well. And we're also watching for this little stretch right here over the four corners, inching a little bit too comfortably close, a little uncomfortably close over New Mexico. Down in one of the record books, I mean, take a look at this. Can you guess how many record highs we had in 1 month alone? I bet you didn't guess that. 6,500 record highs were broken. Contrast that to the only 116 record lows that were broken. So big difference. And all of this is the perfect way to visualize how warm it was. Look how many, all of these red dots are cities or air locations that saw their top 10 warmest February ever on record. We saw a few spattering of the coldest Februarys on record, and that was mainly isolated over the Pacific Northwest. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of them. So if we take a look at the southeast first, let's start there. The average temperature, we saw Roanoke at your warmest February ever on record. Atlanta, you also saw that. Raleigh also saw that. And then Nashville, you saw your third warmest February ever on record. Heading up into the Northeast, they were not alone. New York, Baltimore, Charleston, you all saw your second warmest February ever on record. Syracuse, you saw your fifth. And Richmond, you saw the warmest February on record. And the Midwest, Milwaukee, Des Moines, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Lexington, the list goes on as to who saw their warmest February ever in their record book. So to continue on about this winter weather talk, we're going to send it over to the lab where Carl and Nick, you're going to describe what we